Call this public hearing to order at 7:02 p.m. I've got Councillor Valentino on Zoom. In the chambers, we have Councillor Saw, Councillor McIver, Mayor Smook, and Councillor Fitzpatrick. We have quorum, but just barely, so thank you. First proposal, this is a meeting for public hearing for secondary plan for fiscal development. And I'd like to go to administration first.
Yep, good evening. So, as per the Planning Act, we have a secondary plan, for discussion. Just to give you some background as to how we got to here today. So as we all recall, back in June of 2022, there was an option document, signed, with KTC regarding this property. In October 2022, we had the development plan being updated to reflect the name change of this policy area from Yale Numa to Pusiko. Council approved this change under bylaw 46/2022. Since that time, KTC has been working with their consultants to get plans and funding in place for the project. Just some background on secondary plans. They are considered as a second layer underneath the development plan. If you recall, we have a development plan in our community. Next comes a secondary plan, and below that is the zoning bylaws and other information. Secondary plans provide high-level information on the land use plan for that specific area. KTC has retained the HTFC to conduct the planning work, and they are the authors of the secondary plan that you have in front of you this evening.
Thank you. So next, we're going to receive presentations in favor of the fiscal plan. So anybody care to step forward, state your name, and make your statement, and then say whether you're in favor or against, or you can do that now, sir, or opposed.
Thank you. My name is Tim Hogan. I'm in favor, and I have a brief presentation to share with the councillors. Thank you for this opportunity to present a brief overview of the Pusiko secondary plan. As I mentioned, my name is Tim Hogan. I'm a professional planner with HTFC Planning and Design. As mentioned, we're the authors of the secondary plan. I'll start by providing a brief introduction to the plan. The Pusiko policy area is located at the City of Thompson's northeast boundary, southeast of the Burntwood River. The site is located on a bedrock hill, which rises about 15 meters above the surrounding land. The Thompson train station and industrial area are located south of the site, with the hydro right-of-way located along the site's southeastern boundary. The Pusiko area is accessed by Nelson Road, and it's shown up on the map on the screen. The 2013 Thompson Planning District Development Plan, which involves the City of Thompson and the LGD of Mystery Lake, identified a need for the development of a new mixed-use area in the northeast portion of the city to help meet the city's growth needs. The development plan identifies this as the Pusiko policy area. It was formerly referred to as the Yale-Newman policy area. The word Pusiko means rise in Nunavut, the Cree language. The development plan requires the preparation of a secondary plan to guide the development in the Pusiko policy area. Since the City of Thompson's establishment, the surrounding First Nations have played a major role in the economic development and the success of the city. The Keewatin Tribal Council, or KTC, represents 11 member First Nations located in northern Manitoba, with a total of approximately 18,000 members. The Keewatin Economic Development Corporation, or KEDC, the economic development arm of the Keewatin Tribal Council, is proposing to invest in and develop the Pusiko area with services, housing, businesses, and facilities that will create economic investment and prosperity for First Nation members, the city of Thompson, and the broader region. The Pusiko secondary plan will replace the Yale-Newman secondary plan, which was prepared in 2013. No development in that area has occurred since 2013. The new secondary plan generally retains the previous plan's intended land uses and benefits to the community and to the region. The engineers and urban designers working with the Keewatin Tribal Council have studied the site conditions and its considerable constraints. The site's layout and policy areas have been revised to reflect this detailed site analysis, as well as the updated development potential. The new secondary plan is somewhat more flexible than the previous, allowing for the ongoing development of the area master plan and for future changing needs and markets while maintaining a clear planning direction. The development in this area must follow all federal, provincial, and municipal policies and bylaws. I'll briefly talk about the policy context for this secondary plan. I've sort of illustrated the general policy context in Manitoba on the illustration up on the screen. The Manitoba Planning Act sets the legislative framework for land use planning in the province. The Act addresses all levels of planning with specific provisions for municipal planning and for documents, including development plans, secondary plans, and plans of subdivision. At the next level, the Thompson Planning District Development Plan provides a long-term vision for the city of Thompson and the local government district of Mystery Lake, as well as specific direction on issues such as growth management, land use, housing, recreation and culture, municipal infrastructure, and transportation. The development plan states that a secondary plan is required prior to the development of the Pusiko policy area. It also presents the vision for the Pusiko area and states certain requirements of the development and the secondary plan. The development plan also states that prior to approval of any new developments, the developer will be required to undertake a transportation study and submit a comprehensive servicing analysis, including water, sewer, stormwater management, and other utility extensions for the site. A secondary plan provides more detailed rules for how land can be used in a particular area above those provided in the development plan. The Pusiko the Pusiko secondary plan will help to achieve the goals outlined in the development plan for the area, which include a focus on the provision of housing, mixed use and commercial areas, walkability, and access to the Burntwood River Valley. Detailed policies in the secondary plan will supersede the policies in the development plan, where the secondary plan is silent on matters that are in the development plan. The relevant provisions of the development plan will govern. The Pusiko secondary plan meets the requirements of the Manitoba Planning Act, and meets the requirements and the goals of the Thompson Planning District Development Plan, and it's consistent with all the current planning policies and documents. Other provincial planning policy and all City of Thompson bylaws will also continue to apply on the site. In accordance with the secondary plan, development of the property will require future amendments to the zoning bylaw to rezone different portions of the site to the appropriate zones available in the City of Thompson zoning bylaw. Development will also require future lot subdivision. Additional public hearings will be required for future processes. The Pusiko secondary plan includes two different kinds of policies. So I'll give a bit of just an overview of the secondary plan at a high level. The two kinds of policies include general policies and policies that are specific to identified areas under a land use framework. The general policies apply throughout the Pusiko policy area. The secondary plan provides policies on urban design, natural features and environmentally sensitive areas, cultural heritage sites, archaeological artifacts, transportation, water and wastewater, and stormwater management. The transportation network will be developed as shown on the secondary plans, Pusiko land use and road plan. And we're showing just that element of the plan up on the screen right now. It will include a collector road, multi-use pathways connecting to the neighboring parts of the city, primary sidewalks, and trail connections to the shoreline. Specific policies, as I mentioned, are provided for land use framework policy areas. The land use framework for the policy area, Pusiko policy area, supports a mix of uses and development types to allow people to work, live, and play all in one place. The Pusiko site will be divided into 4 distinct land use policy areas. This table shows the approximate size of each land use policy area and its percentage relative to the total area covered by the secondary plan, not including the road right of way. On this diagram, you can see each of the 4 policy areas represented by a different color. I'll explain a little more about the intent of each of the policy areas individually. Residential neighborhoods within the Pusiko policy area are intended to provide a range of housing options and densities to meet the needs of the community. Areas designated as low-rise residential neighborhoods shall be developed with low-rise multi-unit housing, 4 stories or less in height. Single detached housing is not allowed in this area. Compatible uses such as open space and community uses will be considered in the low-rise residential neighborhood to meet the needs of residents. Mid-rise residential neighborhood areas provide for increased residential density. These areas are primarily intended to accommodate mid-rise apartments and mixed-use multi-unit residential buildings. Complementary uses may also be accommodated in this area. The mixed-use area is intended to accommodate a variety of uses, ranging from commercial to residential to public land uses, with the goal of creating a complete community where people live, work, and play. The mixed-use area will support small to large-scale commercial uses, which may include commercial mall, grocery store, hotel and conference center, gas station, hardware store, restaurant, retail store, or office space, for example. Various residential and public land use will also be considered in this area, including assisted living apartments, personal care homes, student housing, affordable housing, transitional housing, other multifamily residential and mixed-use buildings, open space, parks, and trails. This area is also suitable to accommodate uses that support key public services. On the next slide, you can see the cultural, educational, and community space areas. These are intended to provide access to nature, cultural teaching, and education. This may include park space, forest reserves, trails, and cultural and/or educational buildings. For example, First Nation Heritage Center. So those are the sort of policy areas. The last section of the plan deals with implementation. The secondary plan shall be implemented in accordance with the Planning Act and the Thompson Planning District Development Plan. The staging and phasing of development in the Pusiko area will be largely driven by market conditions, the demand for particular land uses, and the logical and cost-effective extension of municipal services. Future permitting, subdivision, rezoning, and other plan approvals will be required before properties are developed. That brings my presentation to a close. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. It's so nice to see this moving forward. Is there any clarification comments from council? Councilor Salt.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for presentation. I'll just continue with what we were talking about, so if I was right, well, first question I have though is my math right about, we're looking at about 68% of the area will be focused on some form of housing? When I was doing the math on it, when you, those percentages?
I think you might be correct. That sounds about right.
That's about right, okay. So, but none of that area is not single detached, or they're all looking at multi-dwelling. Is there a reason why say single detached wasn't included in that at all? And so, because I'm just thinking of the high density
Yeah,
potential, right, that's gonna happen.
yeah, the development plan, imagine this as a higher density mixed use site. So it's fitting the intent of sort of that, the intent to have a mixed use, higher density, provide some more housing. And so therefore the plan was to not have single family housing.
So just so I'm clear that when we're talking about high density, of course, all those other needs such as schools, other supports, right, for any sort of potential increase in population, especially in that high density, those would have to be in place going forward. And council still has the ability to manage and direct that based on individual applications going forward for development. Is that correct?
That's correct. There will be a series of approvals as development proceeds on this site. So those developments will have approval processes involved. So that these things will come back to council.
So it would be, council would have to make sure that for every development that comes forward in here, that we're mindful of what the impact would be on in the areas around it and on the overall system when it comes to schools and so on. And that would be up to us to make sure that we work with our partners to make sure that's in place. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just one last question is the primary plan, secondary plan, and the primary plan, which would have been, I guess, the Thompson Planning District Development Plan. How, and that was more about like a 6,000 altitude, while this is more like a 3,000 altitude. Is it aligned, like the overall plan we had? Is there any sort of conflict or any differences between the secondary plan and the private plan? They're all aligned as what about the intent of it? So this for housing.
That's correct. Yes, it is aligns with the development.
And so Thompson for all the prior councils have already envisioned that area being for increase in housing stuff. Was it also for high density? Was that included in the?
It spoke about the efficient use of land.
Yeah.
And the intent to have mixed use, mixing with commercial as well as residential, and other uses, public uses. So it specifically states high density in this area. And these are sort of low and mid, but not very low, not single family residences.
So it's aligned with the plan that was already approved by council many years ago. When was the
Correct.
planning district development plan?
Development plan, I believe it's 2013, 2012.
2012.
Councillor Saw, I'm just gonna interrupt to let,
Sure.
Yeah,
no, that's good.
Thank you.
Thank
Update.
Yeah, so just kind of to align what Tim had said. Remember, you said yourself, right, development plan's 10,000 or 6,000, this is 3,000. But the development plan, when you look at residential, it doesn't necessarily specify single family, mid density, high density. It's residential. And that's what kind of, you start to drill down as you get kind of closer and closer, as was illustrated in the presentation. That's where you start to determine the the housing types. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's my question.
Okay, thank you for your presentation, definitely appreciate it. And I'll ask if there's anybody else, that wants to come forward and make a presentation in favor of the Pusiko secondary land development plan. Second call, anybody want to come forward to make a presentation in favor of the Pusiko land development secondary plan? Third and final, anybody wishing to come forward, and make a presentation for the secondary plan for Pusiko? Seeing none, I am now going to ask if there's anybody opposed to the secondary plan for Pusiko, if they would like to come up, state their name and their case. Second call, if anybody is opposed to the Pusiko secondary plan, please come up, state your case. Third and final, anybody opposed to the Pusiko secondary plan, please come up, state your case. Seeing none, thank you very much all for attending this meeting, and I'd like to call for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Saw, all in favor? Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge that Councillor Oberdorfer has joined us on Zoom for the last part of this. Okay,
She was actually on for the duration.
and now we're going to move into, I don't have an agenda. Thank you for the. We're having some technical difficulties today here, and I will apologize for myself also. Regular meeting of council to order for January the 12th, 2026 at 7:25 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 5 territory and the city of Thompson is located on the ancestral lands of Nitchis Cree Nation. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit and Métis persons in the spirit of truth, reconciliation and collaboration. Next, I would like an approval of the agenda. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Saw, all in favor? Okay, tonight we have a delegation. We have Volker Beckman with us, and he is actually just written a very nice book, and I'd like him to come forward and do a presentation. Just a reminder, we have 10 minutes as we're sort of pushed for time tonight.
Thank you very much for the opportunity here, and I have to start with, I'd like to present the city of Thompson complimentary copies of 2 of our books, and certainly to the mayor's office, anybody else. If you want your own copy, they're $29 each, contact me later on, but I'm trying to sell them. And the reason I did this, I spent about a year putting together what Spiritway Incorporated had done over 17 years. There were hundreds of people involved over the time, and there was a lot of good work done. I felt we shouldn't lose it. And I've asked a number of people to join me this evening. Some unfortunately are sick or said their regrets are out of town, but we have Dave Jensen here, who was part of the firefighters group when we started. Fred Palmer and Wayne Hall, and about 47 people spent 3 years working on rebuilding the Northland floodplain, as you know, down by the river. And who else? Arlene, and was on our board for 4 or 5 years, I believe. Right? Am I missing anybody else? Okay. And again, like I said, regret from Wayne Hall, Fred Palmer is here, Nick DiVirgilio is out of town, Celia Lima was our treasurer the last 3 years, Al Meston is also out of town. Anyway, so I just want to quickly go through one sheet that I sent you previously as part of the PDF, and I did put a copy on those folders you have on your desk. just the highlights. I just want to touch on some of them because I think there's important information to provide. And in the highlights, you will see there's a reference to a page. So if you get the book and read it, refer to the page, you know exactly what we're talking about, right? So just quickly, when we first presented this to the mayor of the day was Bill Kamaski at the time. We did a PowerPoint presentation, believe it or not, that was in 2004. I dug that PowerPoint out. And there was a couple of slides we said at the beginning. I should show them to you, but I just wanted to say that we said we're going to do this and this and this. One, we're going to do elements that reflect the municipality in a good way, provincially, nationally, and internationally. And lo and behold, 21 years later, we've done all those things, to tell you the truth. But there's a couple of things still outstanding. And that's my purpose here tonight, to let you know what we did and let you know what's still outstanding. The question will be now, because Spearway Incorporated is closed, who's going to carry that on? So very quickly, in the book, of course, is the actual tour that we've done, where I used to give tours to VIPs or writers or journalists when they came to town. It starts at the museum, which is kind of the southern anchor to the walkway. And the intent was to create a northern anchor where the bridge is today. We held the largest event ever held in Thompson. At the time was have people break the record of 806 people howling like a wolf for a minute, believe it or not. We contacted Guinness in England. When that happened that day, 2,330 people showed up. It overwhelmed us. We had no idea. We ran out of tickets and witnesses and everything else. I won't go through that, but that's the story in the book. Because of my marketing background, we did a lot of promotion for Thompson. In the book is a whole chapter on promotion and souvenirs, and I actually brought a few of those pieces with you today in that folder, just to show you the kinds of promotion we did around town, at the train station, in conferences in Winnipeg, in Denver, Colorado, and Duluth, Minnesota, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. We promoted Thompson in a number of unique ways. And 2017 was Canada's 150th birthday. We were able to get federal government funding, and we hosted 52 different events over 10 days. There was a huge amount of things that went on again, and the whole idea was celebrating wilderness and wildlife. That was sort of the brand that we exposed at the time. We did receive a number of tourism awards. We partnered with Churchill in a number of particular capacities. Collaborating together for the wolf and polar bear capitals. In the book also is a whole section on economic development. And overall, over that period of time, believe it or not, and it's also referenced in the book, we raised over $3 million from different sources. So that, a lot of that money, of course, was reinvested back in the community. On a provincial level, we did a lot of promotion for the city of Thompson, stuff that we did at the Forks in Winnipeg. The whole idea the campaign was called From Winnipeg to the Wolves to the Whales. And on 2 different years, we had wolf statues at the Forks in Winnipeg, and a lot of people showed up. Actually, be the front page of Winnipeg Free Press one. And then also in this book, I want to show this to you. We had a GPS wolf hunt when we first started this. There are 49 statues in this little book. And if you're a geocacher, your mission is to find all those 49 statues by the GPS coordinates in the book. There's no street addresses. So you have to find 11 in Winnipeg, 33 in Thompson, and 3 in Churchill. And when you fill the book and you get all the names right, you get a certificate says, let's say, Colleen Smoke Master Wolf Tracker, and is signed by the mayor of Winnipeg, Thompson, and Churchill, becomes a souvenir book. Believe it or not, we had people from Peru and Virginia and the United States and all over Manitoba do this. Unfortunately, what happened along the way, some of the statues got moved. Even though they're 5,500 pounds, believe it or not, they got moved to Winnipeg, and now the coordinates are wrong. So last year, the Thompson Development Corporation asked me if they could redo them and only have a book for Thompson, because people on their way to Churchill love to play this game and do it for a day. It holds them in either on a day up or on a day back. So I gave them a list of what had to be done, because a lot of those statues are tipping, they're fading, they've been painted 20 years ago, they're peeling. Some of them don't even look like they're properly done. So that is another element that could be done again this year to revitalize that particular project, the GPS wolf hunt in Thompson only instead of across Manitoba. And just a little side trip, there is one wolf statue in Rye, New York, which is one of the most expensive residential areas in all the province, all the state, in the country of the United States. And that's another story in the book, how that one ended up in New York City. Okay. So those are things that we did on a provincial level that gathered attention. On a national one level, we developed a lot of media attention. We had, on one occasion, all TV networks in Canada did a story about what we're doing. And Canadian Geographic magazine actually had a video of all the people howling like a wolf and made it the Canadian Geographic story of the week or something like that, right? So those are all good news stories. The other thing I should let you know is that when I started in Thompson, we used to have smoke stack icons for the Chamber of Commerce, for Norman Regional Development Corporation, and so on, because in the 70s, industry was key, whatever, right? And as time went on, of course, after the 25th anniversary of the City of Thompson, by the year 2000, and when online services came about, the whole idea of dirty smokestack was not something communities want to be proud of. And as we know, our stack now hasn't been working for a number of years. Well, guess what the landmark is today of Thompson? It's our wolf mural. I've had a request over the years where I get a note from somebody, an author doing a story in Vancouver for a magazine or something somewhere else, and they contact me sometimes through the city directly and say, we're doing a story, we need some pictures of Thompson. And usually they want it for free. Sometimes I try to charge them for it. It doesn't work always. I say, well, look, I'll send you 8 or 10 photographs, small thumbnail size. You pick the one you want and I'll send you a high resolution size as long as you know it's copyrighted to Design North or whatever. I'm going to say 3/4 of the time the picture they chose is the wolf mural because it does attract attention. And it made the front page one time of Manitoba Business Magazine. So that was on a national scale. Internationally, as you may know, we held 2 international wolf conferences here. And trust me, nobody holds international conferences in Thompson. We attracted some of the top professors, biologists from Canada, the United States, and Russia to come to Thompson to guest speakers. And they are very interested, of course, in conservation and wildlife, and the fact that we have these huge areas of still pristine forest surrounding our community. There's lots of opportunities to do research. And I, believe it or not, I had to turn away a woman who was the president of the Audubon Society from Washington. I had to turn away a retired doctor, biologist from Montreal. I had to turn away a woman in Ontario who actually emailed me the other day. She wanted to bring a tour group up here from Ontario. These are all people interested in some things that have to do with wolf study or wolf research or wolf cultural experiences separately, or whether they're on the way to Churchill. And the reason people go to Churchill is to see polar bears and beluga whales and so on. These are what we call wildlife viewers in the target audiences. So those are interesting kind of aspects that we did. We also held, as you may remember, in 2017, a campaign in England to promote our city. We took Jason Lucas and Mary Marburg and I went there. They had 30 statues at their place. And Jason was able to paint 2 of those things. And one of those statues was gifted to the city of Thompson 2 years ago from the mayor of Wolverhampton, whose name is Claire Dark. And I think Colleen and Kathy were involved when we had that little Zoom presentation at the World Discovery Center. That statue, which is a gift from their city, is sitting in a little closet at the airport, the old airport. And I suggested the other day, because now there's a new CEO there, James Lindsay, of course, is that it would be nice that that statue was relocated to the new statue, because it's a tribute, a gift from one country to the other, and they want to continue to work with us. So it would be a nice sort of gesture to say, okay, how can we bring tourists from your city to our country, whatever. We tried that in 2018. We gave a $30,000 trip away to 2 people. They actually won it. They came from Wolverhampton, but that's the year where the rail line went down. And we had to trick them. They didn't know this, but we had to, they spent 2 days in Winnipeg, 2 days in Thompson, 2 days in Churchill, and then 4 days at a wildlife lodge, which was Churchill Wild. That trip was worth $30,000, but we had to fly them to Thompson and back to Winnipeg because the train went down for 2 years. Couldn't take them by train to Thompson. They didn't know where they were flying, but we kind of cheated with that. And then I went back the following year to try to sell that same trip to the Wolverhampton Chamber of Commerce with the whole idea of bringing people coming up to North. So those are still possibilities if you work with the city of Wolverhampton. And Claire Dark and Claire Dark and her husband, Dr. Paul Dark, are real favorable people in our for us that would be. International parkers. When we held the Aurora Fest, there was 52 different events came on. We brought in Matt Prodrowski, who's a wildlife filmmaker from Drumheller, Alberta. He brought his two wolves with him, kind of using him as cultural and sort of conservation stories. And he did a music video at the time with, it was about 4 minutes long with, at the time was Grand Chief Arlen Dumas and with the Moody ×2 sisters. And that music video has been seen by quite a few people. And one of his comments was, believe it or not, I didn't know this either. There are international film festivals, wildlife film festivals that take place every year around the world. And a lot of the companies who participate in that are Discovery Channels or the Walt Disney movies or whatever. They do wildlife films that are seen all over the world. And he said, Thompson, being where we are located, could host an international wildlife film festival if we ever decided to do that with the help of maybe Manitoba Theatre art program. So, okay. So those are some of the things that we did on an international level. Now, if you read the book in detail, cover to cover, you'll see a lot of sort of things expressed. And just to highlight here at the bottom of this page, you'll see there's a couple of things that really need to be dealt with very quickly. Otherwise, we lose those possibilities. One is that statue is at the airport. I just emailed them to give them a reminder because there's a new CO there to say, could that be incorporated into your, certainly the airport is large, could that be incorporated into some of your opening and let the people in Wolverhampton know that you've appreciated that? Could we do a Thompson only GPS wolf hunt? I provided all that information at Thompson Community Development Corporation last summer, and unfortunately nothing happened, but maybe it could be resurrected this year. There must be a plan to rejuvenate some of our attractions. It's no different. You paint your house or fix it maybe 20 years ago. Sooner or later, you have to touch it up a little bit, right? And some of the sites, the float plane is getting to the point where the red color is fading, and Fred has been looking at it. How can that float plane be repainted and spruced up a little bit? Some of the wolf statues are tipping and they're moving. Some are painted and have faded and the paint is peeling. And even a site at the fire tribute site near Tim Hortons says, Dave Jensen, Al Messon do a lot of work there and it gets brutalized all the time. It's been beaten up by, unfortunately, a lot of people recently since the liquor market moved, hang around there a lot. So there has to be a way, certainly to keep it fresh or to make it less open to vandalism. I think there's ways to do that. That's a question of whose responsibility. Is it the city? Because all these items sit on city-owned land. Or do you delegate them to the chamber one, to the firefighters for another one, and another one anyway? So that certainly would be part of the sort of strategic plan, how you keep these different things fresh. The other thing, which is an important one, Churchill Wild, I'm not sure if you've ever looked at them. They're run by the Weber family. It is a 5-star world-class wilderness lodge at the edge of the Arctic. And every October, November, they bring 16 guests a week for, I think, 2 months to see polar bears. That trip, that visit, if you were to book that trip, is about $9,000 per person. And they are sold out every year. And that's a trip that we gave away in England. Well, they started 3 years ago with not only polar bears, they brought in Jad Davenport. He's a wildlife program manager from Denver, Colorado. He's a world-class photographer. And 3 years ago, they started a wolf package in March for 6 weeks. That has been sold out for them for 3 years in a row. They charge $29,000 per person. And I asked him, and I contacted me. We've had some discussions over the phone. I try to bring them to Thompson because he said, I've been to Thompson, I've seen the wolf mural. Were you part of that? And we had some long conversation. I sent him a number of different reports and discussions, things we did on research and cultural experiences. He works with one of his key partners up there is an indigenous person who lives in Churchill at the time. He wants to come to Thompson, and I tried that. He told me this, I'll fly from from Denver to Winnipeg. I'll take a car, come to Thompson. I'll spend a couple days with you in Thompson before I have to go to Churchill. I said, all right, I'll arrange to your hotel, your gas, your meals, or whatever. And I asked the Development Corporation last year if they would kick in a couple $100. They told me they didn't have any money. So he's asked me again because March is coming. He says, is there any way you can bring me up for 2 days? And I'm going to suggest again to you, can discuss that later. I'll kick in a couple $100. This is a world-class tourism consultant who is working with a 5-star tourism lodge, who charges $29,000 per tour to say, let's not waste his experience. Let's bring him here and see what he has to say. We could be the warm-up act to Churchill Festival is the idea. That has to be decided, let's say, within the next 3 or 4 weeks, so he can arrange his flights and everything, so. Anyway, all that I think comes down to the point that there is some short-term and long-term things that need to be discussed. There is a whole wolf at the capital of the world vision and a sort of economic plan laid out. We've had some consultants do work. This is $100,000 study done by Pat Bovey, at the time was a consultant on the Center for Aboriginal Arts. She came back in 2019. And she actually, I think she met with some of their counselors, because we ended up eventually she the person at the Chamber of Commerce. We met with Garrett Sassedi at the time. This could be a major development for Thompson, not only in arts, but in tourism, but also in Indigenous cultural experiences. Because there's parts of this program that nobody else in Canada does. So that even though it's like 10 years old, it still has a lot of merit. Now, Pat Bovey became senator in the federal government. She has retired now, and she said, if you need some help, Volker, certainly come back, pick this up. So that's a project that is sitting there. This is another one. This is $200,000 Wolf Center. That's a study done by corporate civil architects for the World Discovery Center. And I know that Lyle is familiar with some of that. And Gary Bell at the time was going to raise the money to put it together. COVID came, Keith McDonald died, other things kind of got in the way. But still, these are projects that have a lot of merit, that certainly has a lot of potential to develop Thompson in a new way, to help the economy diversify, to bring in high quality tourists and visitors on their way to Churchill, on the way up or on their way back. So there's a lot of merits, I guess I'm trying to say, that are in much more detail in the book, which I would like to leave you the 2 copies here. And then certainly we'll hope that maybe at some point in the very near future, we could have some sit down discussions going. That's okay.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. And I've, over the years, definitely been involved in that.
Fantastic.
And basically, when Spirit Way was incorporated and that, we were hoping that they were going to have the long-term vision and continue. And that didn't happen. And again, that's also what happens with us at the city. There's not enough bodies to go around to do it right at all. And right now, the Development Corporation is sort of in a mothball phase, so that's not up and running now. So it would definitely take members of the public come out to the planning district meetings that have been happening to, you know, rejuvenate Thompson, you know, get possibly a group together that will push this forward is what, but definitely thanks for sharing it with us. And we will, I'm not going to take questions at this time, just in the interest of time of the agenda, because we have already gone over, and I've got an important call I have to go on at 9 for my son. But definitely we'll be in contact over it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you're staying around any of my counselors, please feel free to talk to Volker after. Thank you. Great presentation, great book, actually. I got a few for some of my kids. I have to get a few more, and I've only got about halfway through it, but definitely good. So thank you. Next, we're going to go into the adoption of minutes. First is the regular meeting of council, December the 8th, 2025. Resolution 2025-001, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Saw. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the council held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Monday, December the 8th, 2025, be adopted as circulated. Any comments from administration?
Nothing further.
Okay. No. Any other councillors, comments? Seeing none, call for the question, all in favor? Carried. And also, I do believe I have forgot to mention that we did have regrets from Councillor Wong and Councillor Chong for this evening's meeting. I apologize. Next, we're going to resolution for adoption of minutes for committee of the whole on January the 25th, 2026. Resolution 2026-002, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of council held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba on Monday, January 5th, 2026, be adopted as circulated. Administration,
Nothing further.
Councillor Saar. Any other comments from councillors? Call for the question, all those in favor? Carried. Next, we're gonna go into resolutions. Resolution 6.1 is a resolution to approve the 2026 fee and fine schedule. Resolution 2026-003, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Saw. Be it resolved that council approve the 2026 fee and fine schedule. Administration comments?
This was discussed at committee last week and is now come forward tonight's resolution.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, have you got any comments?
No, it's just, regular business, just, upgrading. All that. That's good.
Okay, thank you. Comments from other councillors? Councillor Oberdorfer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had one question I think is maybe a typo that I didn't notice last week in our committee of the whole on page 8. Overfilled, it used to say overfilled garbage bins and now it says overfilled recycle bins. So I don't know if that was meant to be changed or if it was meant to be an addition. So that was just a question that I had. That's not something that'll prevent me from moving it forward. It was just more clarification, I guess, and to see if it was a typo. And then on page 31, there was like a formatting thing, and at the very end of the document, the last sentence, there's a typo on page 48. So it's just like friendly amendments for those last two. And then
I actually mentioned the page 48 when I noticed it, and they said it's gonna be looked after.
yeah, there's still a typo there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So is everybody okay with this moving forward to call for the question with those couple changes?
Yep.
Special maps, yeah. Okay. So call for the question, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next is resolution 6.2. It's a resolution to approve the Alert Manitoba program. Resolution 2026-004, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Whereas the Manitoba Emergency Management Organization administers Alert Manitoba public and alerting programs, which issue the critical emergency alerts throughout the National Public Alerting System, Alert Ready. And whereas Alert Manitoba provides timely, widespread notifications of emergency events that pose an immediate threat to the life safety. And whereas municipalities that meet EMO requirements may participate in Alert Manitoba at no cost. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Thompson approved participation in Alert Manitoba, Manitoba's public alerting program administered by Manitoba Emergencies Measures Management Organization. And be it further resolved that administration be authorized to complete and submit all required documents and designate trained municipal staff as authorized Alert Manitoba call in issuers. Administration.
Yes, so again, as discussed last week, this will, through this format, allow us to participate in the Manitoba Alert or Alert MB program. We do have to, after the resolution, if passed tonight, we will have to go through the required training. One key thing, as was discussed in the meeting last night, the measures and mentioned in the resolution, there is no cost to the city to participate in the system. So it's purely up to us to use. Again, discussed at committee last week and brought forth for resolution tonight.
Thank you. Counselor Saws, the mover, do you have any comments?
No, the only thing, I of course fully support this. I just thank administration for working on this. I think it definitely will enhance parts of our safety here in the community. And especially with some of the challenges was posed last year during the wildfire season. Just extra services like these are going to be very helpful for us afterwards. So I fully support it. And I look forward to the training that our staff will get on. So thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Valentino.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. I'll be supporting it also. I'm just wondering in regards to the detailed training that it says that it's taking place, they're hoping for February and March. Once that training is done and we're up and going, I'm wondering if we could have that information brought back to council, like kind of about the training part, and then we can be able to educate the public on exactly what this means. Thank you.
I do believe we could do that. And also, I think we're recommending that Ian Graham, our communication officer, be part of the training so that he will be up to date on all that communication. And this will go above and beyond. I know people heard about our Thompson Connect, that you have to apply for to be notified. This alert training will be like when they do one of their tests and it comes automatically over the TV or your Fitbits or whatever communication that you're doing in right now on the radio. So thank you. Any other comments from Counselor? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point three is a resolution authorizing administration to enter into the Manitoba Grow Grant for the design of the new fire and emergency services facility. Resolution 2026-005, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Whereas the city of Thompson has been approved to receive up to $1,012,500 in funds through the Manitoba Growth Renewal and Organization Opportunities Manitoba, the Grow Fund program for the design of a new fire and emergency services facility. Now therefore be it resolved that council authorize administration to enter into the Manitoba Grow Fund project contribution agreement with the government of Manitoba. What it means, folks, after I've done all the stammering, is that the government is giving us $1,012,500 to do a study to get a new fire hall here, which we've been advocating for many years. And we've already had designated land, and this is the next step for that. So, administration.
Yeah, so again, discussed it at committee last week, and Mayor provided the information there. We need the resolution to be able to submit the contribution agreement to the province, as with every grant we get from the province. There's a contribution agreement that sets out the requirement, what's eligible, what's not eligible, reporting deadlines, etc. So this resolution will allow us to complete the contribution agreement and submit it to the province.
Thank you. Councillor Saws, the mover, any comments?
Madam Councilor, once again, thanks to administration, but also thanks to all the past councilors and administrations that, as you had mentioned, Mayor Smoke, this has been a long time coming. Glad it's here. Very exciting. There was a lot of work put into this over the years, lobbying and so on. So I do thank the current and the prior mayors and councils and administration for all the work that they've done to get us to this point. Still a ways to go, of course, because it's just a design part. But you know what? It's a great step for us. So I fully support this as well.
Yeah, I think we've got our foot well into the door right now. Councillor Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. I mean, clearly I'm going to be supporting this. This is great. As Councillor Saw said, my question I think would be is, do we have a timeline or a timeline on how quick we get the design back. And the reason I ask, or can you put timelines when you put out your proposal for the design, I guess? And the reason I say that, I think that clearly the province sees the need for Thompson to have a fire and emergency services facility, especially when we're now really seen as a hub. When we see that we are getting a new airport, when we went through a wildfire season, they see the need of how important and crucial we are for our fire and emergency services. So I guess I'm saying, like, let's get a quick timeline. Let's get this million spent on the design, and then we can quickly turn around for the advocacy to get the dollars attached to what that's going to look like. So that's what I'm looking for, a timeline on design. Thanks.
Wow.
I don't have an answer for you tonight, Counselor. I can tell you that the RFP, work on the RFP has already began. So the RFP will be put out to hire the consultant to do the design. We can look to put timelines within the RFP for completion of the design. Absolutely do that. I don't have an idea of where we are as to getting the RFP out, et cetera, at this point, but we should have that information in the next, I would say, the next couple of weeks to wait.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Saw? Or you just want to check? All right, with that, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Six point four is a resolution to approve of the request to use caveat instrument number 438189-3 for the installation of a digital advertising sign for Patterson outdoor advertising. Resolution 2026-006, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Whereas the 1970 agreement between FW Woolworth Company Limited and the City of Thompson grants the city a right-of-way for underground utilities on the property known as the City Centre Mall, including a triangular parcel at Mystery Lake Road and Thompson Drive. And whereas the agreement requires the city approval for any structure within the right-of-way, and whereas the current property owner, R2 Capital Partnership Inc., has requested permission to install an electronic billboard on this parcel and acknowledges that a variance is required under the zoning bylaw. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council approve the request of R2 Capital Partners to install an electronic billboard within the city's easement, subject to the following. First, the required variance and any conditions set by the city. Next, at the city's reasonable request, should public works or infrastructure improvements necessitate use of the subject area, such as road widening or municipal upgrades, the ownership group agrees to relocate the digital sign structures at their own expense in coordination with the city administration.
Yes, again, this is, as per the caveat that's registered on the property, the property owner, Archie Capital, needs permission of the city to construct or erect any structure, of which this sign is considered a structure. So the first step in this will be, the resolution tonight, permitting or giving permission. If this is successful this evening, R2 Capital put it forward, the next set of documents, which would include a variance. The sign face is larger than our zoning bylaw permits under bylaw, so they would provide a variance. So again, a multi-step process. This is step one.
Thank you very much. And this too, people may recognize Patterson had approached the city at one time to put the signs down in our park, and we had suggested that they go out and look for a different location, as it wasn't ideal. And this is what they have come back to us. So I thank you that they have not given up on us, and that R2 Capital has been cooperative. With that, I'll go to Councillor Saw. Do you have any comments?
No, I fully support this, and as Councillor Valentino and Councillor Orberdorfer mentioned at the last meeting, this is gonna really look great. It'll really modernize the look of the mall, so I fully agree with that. And also, I think from a safety perspective, I think it'll be a great way to showcase what's happening in the mall in a manner where it can be seen easily by people, so I fully support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor
Thank
Fitzpatrick.
you. Yeah, I support this as well, the mayor. Yeah, as Councillor Saw said, it'll just enhance them all and it gives them a chance to advertise and maybe bring in some new customers and clientele. I'm in favor of this.
Thank you. And I think the word was we starting to modernize our city with one of these nice fancy signs. So thank you for coming to it. With that, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? It is carried. Thank you. Next, we are going into bylaws. 7.1 is the second reading of bylaw 2025. And that is the secondary reading for the Pusiko plan. And we had the first reading and now we've just had the public hearing tonight and we are going to go into the second next stage. So resolution 2026-007, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Saw. In case anybody's wondering, those were the first two at the meetings tonight, so thank you for the resolution signing. Be resolved that bylaw 2060-2025, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to adopt the Pusiko secondary plan, be given second reading as amended. Administration.
Yeah, so again, good evening, everyone. This is the secondary plan document. We had the presentation on earlier on. The secondary plan, after first reading was sent to the province for review. There is a memo in your briefing package from our community planner, Brett Knapp, who has circulated it to all the different departments in Winnipeg and agencies, and has not received any comments back. Brett's memo also talks about, I think, Councillor Sada asked your question about alignment with our development plan and also with the alignment with the provincial land use policies, which again, they have no concern on that. And right now it's ready to go forward for second reading.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick is the mover. Any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm in favor of this bylaw as it's crucial that we get this moving forward because it enables the group to access federal money for housing and move the project forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Councillor Valentino.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. Yeah, I'm going to be supporting this, and I'm happy to see this come to second reading of bylaw. You know, we are clearly hearing a message from the Prime Minister to build 500,000 housing, and that's the buzzword these days for federal dollars for housing. And similar to Councillor Saw's comments earlier about single detached or the multi-use, you know, the word housing means a lot of different things to different municipalities. It's senior housing, it's affordable housing, it's low income housing, it's, you know, housing subdivisions, it's, you know, apartments, it's all different kinds. So, you know, I think in the presentation today, this satisfies a housing component that we have a need for. And, you know, when we talk about building like this kind of a development and you know, a housing development, and we see our point in time numbers with homelessness in Thompson, that, you know, this checks a lot of boxes for what we need right now and really what everybody needs. Everybody's talking about housing, and the only way you can do it is if you have good relationships and partnerships. And this is a good solid partnership that I feel that, you know, the council of the day has with KTC to move this project forward. So I'm happy to be a part of it. I think it's like a legacy moving forward for this community, and it's the right thing at the right time to develop housing in a time when our entire country's in a crisis for it. So I look forward to supporting this and the third reading. Thank you, Mayor Smoot.
Thank you. We'll go to Lau next.
Yeah, apologies, there was one other thing I should have mentioned in my introduction. As part of the bylaw going through tonight, we have to repeal the Yale Newman secondary plan. So there's a memo in there, and it is part of the bylaw reading tonight, that the Yale Newman secondary plan, which is bylaw number 1903/2013, will be repealed upon successful passing of the third reading of this bylaw. So again, just from a paperwork perspective, the Yale Newman secondary plan will be repealed and then replaced with this second.
Thank you. Councillor Saul.
Yes, thank you. And I do thank Brett for coming down to the presentation. I support this. At the same time, in my mind, this is just a start. There's a lot of things that will have to be done over the next little while. Housing definitely is a huge need, as pointed out by Councillor Valentino, and also pointed out by the Pitcom report that was just done. And if anything, the pressures will increase. We have a lot of housing pressures with our neighbors, a lot of First Nations and communities. A lot of young people are looking at urban settings like Thompson to come to, and that's going to put even more pressure on housing here. But at the same time, we do know that it's just a start by having this plan put in place. Everything that comes after, every development that comes within that plan, we as council, future councils will have to make sure that all our ducks in a row are in regards to the supports that are needed in any growth in population, such as schools and so on. So I think it's great to have this next step done, but I also acknowledge that there's a lot of work that will need to be done down the road as we go forward with this. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, what I like about this plan is that it feeds a lot of the needs that we've been advocating for the last 10, 11 years to the province. It feeds the needs for a medical building. It feeds the needs that we need commercial space for people to build on, bring businesses to town. Even everybody talks about how many hotels. Well, it's very seldom can you get a hotel room in Thompson. So many times, even with us owning a small campground, people literally sleep in their cars out there because they can't get hotel rooms even in the summer in Thompson and that. So there's all kinds of niches. The fact, even talking childcare, talking another seniors home, definitely gonna be talking about school because walking up being in that area is full. So there's still, like Oswald says, there's a lot of discussion that still needs to go on, and that will happen, and we will do that as this development improves. So with that being said, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Tammy?
Just run out of its battery.
So, anyway, I can proceed without that for this next one. Next is the resolution for the third reading of this bylaw to move forward. And we can do the 2 readings in one night, say until the second reading passed. Now, with the third reading of this for Pusiko development, it will be a recorded vote. So resolution 2026-008, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that the bylaw 2026-00-2025 be given third reading and that it do now pass. So go to administration.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, Mayor.
Perfect, okay. Any other comments from council? Okay, seeing none, going to call for the question, and please by a show of hands, and we will be recording this vote. All in favor? Councillor Saw, Councillor McIver, Councillor Valentino, Councillor Oberdorfer, Mayor Smook, and Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. It does pass. Thank you. Seven point four is first reading of bylaw 20622026 zoning bylaw amendment, place of worship in RH zone. Resolution 2026-009, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that bylaw 20612026, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend bylaw 1891-2012 as amended, which will amend figure 56 permitted conditional use in the industrial light zone in the city of Thompson zoning bylaw by adding retail sales store as permitted use, be introduced and read a first time. Lyle.
Yeah, good evening. So this is, we have two zoning bylaw amendments tonight. So this is the first of two. So this is to add retail sales store in the light industrial zone. So we have a property owner who's come forward looking to revitalize an existing property and looking to open up a retail sales store. The 2012 zoning bylaw does not permit a retail sales store in that zone. I know everyone's gonna ask a little about this and a little about that. There are a number of other categories. Business and office supply stores can exist. Automotive parts supply stores can exist. Equipment supply stores can exist, but there isn't a generic retail sales store. The property owner has submitted the required paperwork. We've had discussions with our regional planner again with Brett Mack. So right now administration recommends that we add the use class definition retail sales store to the IL and this be considered for first reading tonight. Once first reading is complete, we will schedule a public hearing, which I believe is set for February the 9th meeting. And at that time, we will have the public hearing and second and third reading.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sauce, mover.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Any other comments from Councillor? Thank you. Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. And what this first reading does now, it does give our staff and administration the power to go out and get ready for the next steps in the public hearing. And this notifies the public that they will be able to come and make presentations for or opposed to this project. Thank you. Seven point four is first reading of bylaw 2062-2026, zoning bylaw, place of worship, RH2 zone. Okay, I fix something up there, but we're okay now. Resolution 2026-010, moved by Councillor McIver, seconded by Councillor Saw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2062-2026, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson, to amend bylaw 1891-2012 as amended to amend figure 1 or 18 permitted conditional uses in residential high density zone in the city of Thompson zoning bylaw by adding place of worship as a permitted use be introduced and read a first time. But
yeah, good evening. So a property on Goldeye Crescent has been operating as a church for numerous years. That property was developed and built under the previous zoning bylaw, so pre to 2012. The previous zoning bylaw allowed places of worship in that zone. However, when the 2012 zone was adopted, it was not included for that zone. The building could continue to operate as normal without any issues under the allowance for pre-existing non-conforming properties. I think you've heard us talk about that before, where if a property is using a use class that was in a previous zoning bylaw, they are allowed to continue that operation under a new zoning bylaw without it being included until there are a couple of triggers. One of the triggers is an expansion of the building footprint. And that's what this property owner, that's what these people want to do, is they want to add on to the building. By adding on to the building, the pre-existing non-conforming use ceases, and they have to comply with the new zoning bylaw. Therefore, they've submitted the paperwork and that to add places of worship to this zone. So they can then go to the next step and submit the paperwork to expand the building.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McCarver, any questions? Any other comments, councillors? Okay. Call for the question, all those in favor? Thank you. This is just passed. This is just another example of our staff and administration being on top of it and doing what needs to be done before moving on. Definitely appreciate it. 7.5 is the first reading of bylaw 2063, 2026 corporate asset management bylaw. Resolution 2026-011 moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that by bylaw 32026 being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to establish a comprehensive, systematic, and mandatory framework for the government's management and stewardship of the city's infrastructure assets throughout the entire life cycle, and to enshrine the principles of life cycle management, risk-based decision-making, financial sustainability, and continuous improvements in a manner consistent with internationally recognized standards, including the ISO 55,000 series, be introduced and read a first time. Administration.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have this and the following bylaw up for discussion tonight. This will really position the city to allow us to further develop. Again, we need these bylaws in place to allow us to develop the corporate asset management programs. As discussed at our committee meeting last week, the bylaw and associated programs are really critical to the success of this community being able to apply for and receive future funding. We have to submit annual reports to the province on our asset management activities, and this is going to be the starting of a lot of work, but a lot of very positive work for the community.
Thank you. Councillor Saw, this will move on.
Yeah, I also, I echo what was just mentioned by Lyle. You know what, I do want to thank administration for really putting together a lot of work in a short period of time. But very, crucial stuff that has been done. I think this will have far ramifications when we do our budgeting, our how we focus that process, what we look for. I think these are some foundational elements that have been discussed or in the bylaw. When we talk about core principles, life cycle perspectives, service-driven, risk-based financial sustainability, continuous improvement, those are all things I think are crucial when we get down to budgeting and we look at the many requests that will come forward or many things on our plate and only a finite amount of dollars, and you know this will be very helpful. So I fully support this first reading. I thank administration again for getting us here. Long time coming, but I'm glad we're at this here. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from council?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I echo what Councillor Saul said. This is a long time coming, and it will help us track our equipment and our resources that we have available to us, so we can stay on top of any things we see coming in the. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, this is definitely something we've been working on for a number of years. And again, thank you, administration, for getting this pushed forward for us. And we will look forward to the next moving parts. I know a lot of behind the scenes work has already been started, so we look forward to continuing that. With that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Just carried. Next, we have 7.6. It's first reading of bylaw 2064-2026, Thompson, True Stewardship and Resilience Bylaw. Resolution 2026-012, moved by Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, second by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that bylaw 2064-2026 being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to manage climate-related risks through practical measures that demonstrate genuine long-term environmental benefit, invest in sustainable community assets, and ensure economic stability be introduced and read a first time. Administration.
I think I kind of said everything on the last one. Again, this is the second part of the programs.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, any comments?
No, this will enhance our asset management as well, and we'll be able to keep track of what's going on with our environmental equipment stuff that we've just acquired.
Thank you. And just one further comment with all of it, with the asset management and this, when we go to the government for grants and that, a lot of this, especially the federal government, different programs, they want to know what's happening in the future. So this will definitely give us more leverage for some more dollars to do some more fixing up literally around the city. So thank you very much. With that one, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? It is carried. Okay, with that, we've had an exciting council meeting tonight. We've heard both Pusiko development. We heard from Volker Beckman on his new book and the Spirit Way, and anybody, I suggest everybody get a copy of the book and continue on. And we do, I think, with Volker's passion out there, the need for people to get involved with the Spirit Way, if they're to see it rejuvenated, is definitely there. Last thing is that weather out there is very nasty, so it's raining down south, the roads are bad, it's snowing up here, the roads are bad, so just everybody be really careful out there. And thank you to all our emergency services and that's all the hard work that they do to keep us safe. So thank you very much and have a good evening. Call for adjournment. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Yes.